Okay, so I've been awake for like 25, 26 hours now, and it's not on purpose. I like literally can't fall asleep. I shut the lights off and lay down and put on a podcast, and nothing's gonna work. So finally, I got out of bed at like 3:30 in the morning. I was lying awake in bed from like midnight till whatever 3:30, and went down. Just started pounding whiskeys, and scrolling through TikTok. And weirdly, like scrolling through TikTok for like 2 hours at 3:30 in the morning while I was drinking in the middle of the week was helpful, I think, because I blazed through like several stages of grief, just like going through video after video of people feeling the same way that I was like validating, right? So all of a sudden, here it's 6 o'clock in the morning right now, and I'm feeling a little bit energized. And this is what I ended up doing: was I just sat down, I pulled out a notebook, and I made a list of every organization in Western New York that I know of that does shit in social justice, abortion access, and gay and trans rights. I wrote down the name of the organizations, and I'm going to go switch on my laptop and sign up for everybody's newsletter, everybody's email newsletter, right? Their weekly newsletters. I also listed people who, like, I was like, okay, I got to call. Like trans folks, gay folks, not white folks, immigrant folks that I know that I just got to call today and be like, yo, you need literally anything, you fucking call me. And all of that is not going to fix anything except for it's giving my brain a project, right? Like I've already like acceptance, and now I'm moving on to, okay, so what's resistance look like? So that's going to be my recommendation to anybody who's in a panic right now. Go like start Googling like organizations in your city that are active organizations, sign up for their newsletter, and just don't go there with a plan, right? Shut the fuck up with your stupid plan. Show up for like whatever the event is and say, what is the plan? I am here to volunteer. I am here to help. And just go be helpful. You don't need to solve everything. There are people who have been working for decades figuring out how to solve shit. You just got to go and be helpful to them. So if you're panicking right now, do this. Make a list. Organizations, friends, family. Start calling people. Make a list. This is a list I made this morning of nonprofits and people that I know in my city that do good work. If you don't know people or nonprofits in your city that do good work, that's why God made Google. So make yourself a list and just sign up for everybody's newsletters. Show up to everybody's events. You don't need to like have a solution in your brain. You don't need to like start organizing something from square one. Somebody else is already doing it. Go find the people who are already doing it. Shut your fucking mouth and say, okay, how can I be helpful? And then go be helpful. That's all there is to it. Part of the reason why you're freaking out right now is you're addicted to TikTok, and TikTok sometimes for some people can serve as a empathy machine, right? So you have all of this like contact panic, right? Secondary panic. Like TikTok is a way of getting like you into people's lives, people that you never would have contact with before, into their lives in a way that you never were going to get into before. And if you're a person who's got like the mechanisms inside of you to have empathy, that will take over your brain. So if that sounds like you, this is what I'm doing this morning. I made a list of organizations and people in my city that I know are smart and do good stuff. And I'm signing up for their newsletters, and I'm giving everybody a call today. And I'm not coming to anybody with ideas. I am saying, what is the thing that you're trying to achieve right now, and how can I help? I'm just going to shut the fuck up and be helpful. Okay, not to be that guy, but in a moment of crisis, I am turning toward my faith. And if you didn't know, I am a person who was raised an atheist, born and raised an atheist, and converted to Satanism in my 30s. And there's a cool little concept that I learned in the Satanic Temple, this concept of modeling yourself as the Hasatan. So the Hasatan is where Satan gets his name. It's a word in ancient Hebrew for the guy who gets in the way, the obstacle man, the prosecutor, the double crosser, right? The Hasatan is the dude who's just a fucking problem. The dude who, by being a problem, by being in the way, you cut off the path of least resistance and force the assholes to go a different route. It's kind of adopting this attitude that, like, you are not stuck in there with them, they're stuck in there with you. So what is that going to look like for me? What I'm going to do different in the next 4 years that I didn't do over the last 4 years is I'm going to take the fight to them. I'm going to get real smart on every little policy nuance and every little taxation this and mifepristone that. And I am going to call all of my Christian friends, my Republican relatives, anybody who I even like got a whiff of Trumpism off of in the last 10 years. And I'm going to grill them on it constantly. And I am never going to cut them out. I'm going to make them wish I was cutting them out. I'm going to put it on them to cut me out. I'm going to be their Satan. Right? Because if you're so fucking confident in the choice that you made, then it should be no problem. You should be sharp on the issue. You should be clear-eyed and focused. You should have no trouble at all explaining to me how what you've done makes sense, right? And every time you bring that argument up to me, I'm going to eviscerate it and humiliate you until you walk away, right? Because these Trumpers have never hit a consequence. These white men have never hit a consequence in their fucking life. And I will be the fucking consequence. I will be your fucking consequence. I will be your personal fucking Satan. So, I don't know how long this like energy is gonna stick with me. I've been awake for like 28 hours straight right now. I'm gonna crash here in a bit, but right now, I am feeling all sorts of emotions. But I'm hanging on to that concept of the one thing I have to look forward to is every fucking holiday for the rest of my life, I'm going to sit down next to my brother-in-law and exhaust him going over all the shit that he's done that's fucking up other people's lives and ask him why he doesn't care. And I'm going to know the issue better than him, and I'm going to let everybody see it. I'm going to be his Satan. If a man that thoroughly fucking dog shit could beat a woman that overqualified, then a woman just cannot get elected as president in this culture. And if that is the case, what the fuck is the point of this country? If you can just like kick somebody out of a position that important just because, woman, burn this motherfucker down. If I hear one motherfucker say, she didn't run a very good campaign, I will slap them in the mouth so hard they won't taste sugar for a fucking week. What do you mean she didn't run a good campaign? Who cares? Who is she running against? Who is she running against? There has literally never in American history been a more dog shit, fucking stupid, rat fuck, knuckle dragging, cousin fucking nobody who is run for it. I don't care what her campaign was. This guy's campaign was to put out a document that says, man, here's my dream list of all the fashions that I would do, and then go on fucking stage and have sundown syndrome every day for a fucking year. And I don't care what campaign she ran against him. The fact that it lost, like, proves to me everything I need to fucking know about you people. Your little fucking monkey brains cannot handle the idea that a woman could, like, run shit. A black woman could run shit. Because you have never left your fucking road You've never been outside of your fucking town. You think you know how the country works, and you've never seen it. You've never met a woman like her. And so you're fucking scared. Yeah, she didn't run a campaign. Who gives a fuck what the campaign was? You couldn't have a worse opponent. The fact that the bar is so low, I don't ever want to hear about DEI again, right? Trump is the DEI president. The bar is so fucking low and he still made it over. She had to be flawless, he got to be lawless. If you can just hallucinate like one little thing, one little nitpicky fucking thing that you didn't like, then in your fucking dumb brain, you think that that means, well, that's what she had coming. No. You're a racist, you're a misogynist. I am better than you. You are morally inferior to me. There is nothing I can learn from you. You could learn a lot from me. You can learn a fuck of a lot from me. There's nothing you could teach me. Yeah, I didn't like how she made a campaign. She should have been fucking smug. You're fucking stupid. You're looking at it, folks. America's first DEI hire president. Not the right one, just the white one. Okay, but he is not a strong candidate, right? He is an objectively poor choice for leadership. He is not a strong candidate. It is that the American conservative is weak. They are weak people. They have no spine. They have no balls. They have no spiritual maturity. They don't want to think for themselves. They want to be told what it is that they believe. They would rather throw it all away and bring back a monarch than have to live in a world where they need to trust a black lady. I know you're not lighting me up, but like, phrasing. So you and I are looking at this country that was given the choice, hey, saw off your nuts or eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And the country said, I'm going to saw my nuts off. And I'm tweaking out about that. And you chime in here and say, hey, that PBJ had grape jelly. Everybody knows strawberry is where it's at. I kind of understand why they cut their nuts off. I think the issue might be is just you're way too smart for us. This is too clever of a take. You should have a podcast. You are very valid and a very smart boy. So I got a ton of other shit to do today, so I'm not going to get too into this, but this was a comment left on another video I had done this morning where I mentioned my religion. I'm a Satanist, I'm a member of the Satanic Temple. And I understand why you're saying this, but what you got to understand is the reason why the word faith like triggers this response in you is that you have a concept of that word faith that has been put in your brain through evangelical propaganda, because that's kind of like the dominant religious model in the United States, that misunderstands what the word faith is. When you hear the word faith, you're thinking things like blind obedience or belief in the supernatural or superstition or something like that. That's not what we mean as Satanists when we talk about our faith. Like, we are people of faith, but we have faith in the individual. We have faith in humans. We have faith in empiricism and reason. We have faith in the tenets. Satanism is the belief that truth must establish authority, not that authority establishes truth, right? So I have faith in my tenets, and I have faith in the human project. Not always have faith in individual humans, right? But have faith in the concept of humanity. And I view humans to be the most, I don't know what the right word here is, what's the secular version of the word holy or sacred or divine? Like I view humans to be the highest thing, the thing that is most worthy of concern and attention. Not arbitrary systems, not arbitrary authorities, not gods, not countries, not states, not kings, humans, right? That's what we mean when we say faith. So, yeah. Satanism is we already, like at 9 o'clock in the morning, there's people already emailing us asking, hey, how can I join the congregation? This is going to be another moment. This is going to be a big moment when a lot of people, look for religion, and we're one of them. Okay, as a middle-aged white man who has grown up around a lot of middle-aged white men, I'm going to tell you, I don't understand them either, but I'll tell you one thing about them is they've never had a consequence in their entire lives, right? All small-town white men, conservative men, have this permanent Peter Pan syndrome going on. They just will always be children. So, because they're never going to naturally have consequences, you get to be their consequences. Like, start a lot of Facebook fights today. Go start Googling, learn some important facts about abortion, healthcare, taxes, everything you can, and just fucking humiliate them. Say, hey, you were so sure about your choice. Let me ask you some questions. Be somebody's consequences today. It's not that you have to, it's that you get to be somebody's consequences. Today is a good day to hurt a lot of fucking feelings, right? Because some of these motherfuckers never learned because some of us never taught. So don't hold back. Let them know exactly how you fucking feel. Let them know exactly what they did. They made their choice. Don't protect them from the consequences of it. Be somebody's consequences. So I called my mom today, and my mom's she's in her early 70s, and she's a total badass. And I said to her, like, the thing that's really torching me about this whole fucking thing is, like, I thought we were done. Like, the 4 years he was in office were fucking miserable, and I'm already burnt out from it, right? Like, and now I got to do it again, and I didn't think I was ever going to have to do it again. And she laughed at me. And she goes, Danny, I had to live through Reagan twice. We had to live through the AIDS crisis. We had to live through the wave of homeless, right? We had to live through the gutting out of, like, the health insurance system during Reagan. And I laughed, and I was like, yeah, but I'm tired already. I'm 40, I'm tired already. She's like, okay, I had to live through Reagan twice and now Trump twice. So, my mom doesn't want to hear us fucking whining.
I'm delivering 3 sermons today, each one to a different group of people. And this one is for the Trump supporters. You are going to hell for this. You're going to hell for this. You have blatantly disregarded your neighbor. You have failed to care for the widowed, the orphaned, and the immigrant. You have committed idolatry, and you have become lost in your greed and your lusts. You are proud and envious, and you will face that reality on Judgment Day. A lot of you have become too arrogant to believe that you could go to hell. A lot of you have become so idolatrous that you don't think that man could get you there. But you are wrong, and I have never felt something with such conviction in my entire life. And I don't come to you as a saint, I come to you as a fellow sinner. You can repent. You can walk away from this. You can start to atone. But I doubt any of you will. I think that if God himself came down from the heavens, laid hands upon Donald Trump and called him the Antichrist, you would still follow him. Because what, he's promising to make eggs a little cheaper? Like, I'm not happy with the price of eggs either, but I am not willing to risk my eternal soul for it. I am not going to place a convicted predator into a position of power in the hopes that gas will be under $3 a gallon. I am a simple man, and I am not that greedy. You had 2 choices that did not involve you putting into office the best friend of one of the most prolific child traffickers in modern history. You could have downsized your life, gotten rid of that big giant truck of yours, and all your expensive weapons, or you could have gone out and fought for higher pay. or an end to corporate corruption. You chose to do neither of those things because it was easier to blame immigrants. And that is laziness, that is sloth. You saw hatred as the path of least resistance and the best way to maintain your lifestyle, and you took it. You took it at the expense of the lives of so many of the neighbors you are supposed to be loving. You have failed as a Christian. You have failed to live up to the expectations of Christ, and we all do at some point or another. But you need to repent. And I don't believe in hell as a place of eternal fire. No, I think hell is going to be something so much worse for you. Because if you got thrown into a pit of fire, if you were tortured for all eternity, you would never learn anything. You would just feel slighted by God. You'd fall on your knees and feel persecuted. And you'd cozy up to the devil for perks. Because that is what you have been doing for your entire life. That is what you did with this election. No, here's what I think hell is for you. I think hell is a place where you're going to have to face the fact that you were wrong. And you're going to have to sit there in the silence, in the emptiness, in the nothingness, for however long it takes you to figure it out. For however long it takes for you to learn how to live in a society with other people in it. That is the burning you will feel. The burning of your own soul eating you up. May God have mercy on you. May God have mercy on us all.
I saw a TikTok today where somebody was like, nobody has ever achieved a big thing on a day when they were full of big feelings. So they went on to recommend that whatever it is you feel like doing today, try doing the opposite. You want to destroy a relationship with somebody, you should say something nice. If you want to sign up for 10 things, you should actually try to get yourself out of 10 things. You know, stuff like that, which is good sounding advice. I can't do it. But if you can, you probably should. But for me today, the thing that I'm just hung up on, the thing that I can't stop processing right now, is like the culture aspect of it. Like what this tells me about other Americans, right? Like either you're like stupid, uninformed, confused, spun around by propaganda, or can't think logically. But it kind of doesn't matter to me which one it is, right? Whatever it is, you are morally inferior to me. There's nothing that you can teach me. I can teach you lots. You can't teach me. And like intellectually nothing either, right? Like most Americans I know now just have no common sense, no street smarts, and proudly you have no education, right? And it's not that you're uneducated because you're stupid or because you couldn't get yourself educated. You're uneducated because you're a coward, right? All conservatives are cowards. That's how you become a conservative, right? You don't have what it takes to say, oh shit, I don't know a thing. You don't have what it takes to feel like uncomfortable, feel like the dummy in the room, right? The way that you become smart is you have to start off being dumb, right? Like if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong fucking room, right? And all that shit always felt obvious to me, but I guess I'm the odd one out here. There is nothing specific to get anxious about right now. This is generalized anxiety time, right? Because he doesn't take office until January 6th. And then, right, famously, it's like the first 100 days is like the time period where presidents start to assert their agenda, if they're going to show up with an agenda. So it's literally 6 months from now before we're going to have specific things to get worried about. So, like, like in the next 6 months, there's nothing to do but like wait to see what's going to happen. Like, the one positive thing I could say about Trump is that he is incompetent as fuck, right? He was going to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. He was going to repeal and replace Obamacare on day one. There's a lot of shit he promises that he's not even going to try to do, right? Because He's just a bullshitter. There's a lot of shit that he's just never going to do, and Trumpers are going to say he did it, right? Because I still got Trumpers who are telling me that there was no wars during Trump, right? Remember that it was Joe Biden that pulled everybody out of Afghanistan? And you were all mad about that? Remember how he was president after Trump, therefore? Also, weirdly, I was a deployed soldier during Donald Trump's tenure, so whatever. We already know this. Like, Trumpers live in a different alternate reality. You can't. It's not about education, right? It's just about their feelings. Yada yada yada. Anyway, this is just to say, there's no reason to blow up now, I guess, because it's like 6 months wait before I know what I'm going to blow up over. After today, a phrase that I am ejecting from my vocabulary, and maybe you will too, is alternate realities. There are no such things as alternate realities. There's reality, and then there's delusions. It's like kind of a good definition, actually, of reality on its own, right? Is it that there's only one of them. It's the set of facts, rules, and physics that there is only one of. Because if you talk to Trumpers, not only are they living in a world where like there's like non-existent facts and like time is out of sequence and everything, they also are living in a world where like physics operates differently. Ask them about how it is that Democrats control the weather, or how Sleepy Joe engineered himself a victory using the Italian satellites or whatever it is. Like physics isn't even the same in the mega disrealities, in their delusion lands. They're not alternate realities. They're delusions. One of the so exhausting things about being any flavor of not a Republican, especially in the blue state, is realizing that I'm going to have to be 2 steps behind Republicans for the rest of my life, protecting themselves from themselves. Right? Like, they know that they can put on a big show of like hating the labor unions because we will be there cleaning up their mess, making sure that they still have a right to organize. They can whine and complain all they want about environmental laws because they know we will be there to make sure they don't die from their own fucking tap water. They can make this whole show about being really conflicted about abortion because they know we are going to be 2 steps behind them, protecting themselves from themselves, making sure that if a married Republican woman has a pregnancy, has a miscarriage, she can have the fetal tissue removed from her body instead of having to sit there and let it rot inside of her, which may kill her. That's what they want. They want to live, they want to put on a show of saying, no, I want to live in a world where she has to sit there and let it rot inside of her. And they get to because they know I will be the grown-up to their little Peter Pan shit. Says, no, like, that's not how reality works. Like, she should have the right to have it removed. Or leave it in there if you want. Like, you get to go and play silly boy because I am going to be the fucking grown-up to you. It's pathetic, right? But I'm going to keep doing it because I can't stop being, like, an empathetic fucking person. But, God, I am not enjoying it right now. Like, it's unconscionable to me to say, like, I'm in New York. Like, we just passed Prop 1. We're putting a protection for abortion into our state's constitution. I have not heard a single liberal person say, hey, we should have a law that says if you voted no on Prop 1, you're not allowed to have a constitutional protection to have fetal tissue removed from your body. I've never heard a liberal person say that. Maybe we should. But they get to go be children because we're going to run the place like grown-ups. Man, I really don't feel good about that right now. There's no law or policy change to contend with right now, but the thing that I am still grieving really hard is the cultural impact of it. Or like kind of the psychological impact maybe, but like the impact on culture, right? Like, I'm always low-key aware, like we're always low-key aware that most Americans are idiots, But this is just such a shellacking, right? There's such a walloping of what an absolute dog shit culture we have in the United States. How stupid and petty and confused and spun around by propaganda and childish so many Americans are, right? There's a creator on here that I really appreciate that uses this phrase a lot where he says America has like body dysmorphia problems, right? Like we have this image of ourselves that is not correct, right? It's objectively not real, of this kind of like these sort of free people, individual individual rights type of culture, but we're not, right? We're like, we are North Korea, we are Russia, we like are people who crave monarchies. And like this is just one of these moments where like it's so inescapable, just so in your face, like what a foul culture we have going, how stupid, uneducated, no common sense, no street smarts so many Americans are. And it's just really hard to fucking deal with all of it at once. Normally we get that low-key sprinkle of American stupidity, conservative stupidity, Christian stupidity. But this is just a fire hose of it. I don't have any kids. I'm never going to have any kids, but I still worry about the future, right? And I'm worrying about the future because I'm worrying about like other people's kids, my nieces and nephews, my friends' children's, and all that stuff. And I am out here like stressing out about trying to see a future for parents who will not fight for that future for their own kids. In fact, they want to get in the way of that future for their own kids. And here I am with no children, like trying to have a world for your fucking little brat. That's not a fun realization to wake up to. This is not going to be an easy 4 years for the Republican Party either. Because now they got neoliberal fascists, Christo-fascists, and 4chan fascists all trying to run a government together. I think that the girls are going to start fighting. The Democratic Party just has one goal. It's just got to be the opposition. Just whatever they dumb shit they do, they just have to try to stop that one dumb shit. But the three of them are going to have to all try to figure out what's the dumb shit that they're all going to try to do. And I mean, for crying out loud, there are Republicans that endorsed Harris and are going to have to go like back into work next week as if nothing happened. When I saw that he had won the popular vote, that most Americans had voted for him, one of the first things that popped in my head was, oh, turns out I was right. I am better than everybody else. I mean, that's something at least.
So I hit a nerve with the conservatives.
I never was a Christian for one day in my entire life, but I'm telling you, if I had met a man like the Reverend Oliver Snow when I was a teenager, I'd been locked into that shit. I went over to the video where he's explaining to Trumpers how, like, they are damning their own soul with their vote. And I was looking at the comments and the Stitch replies, and I noticed something interesting. Everyone who responded, or thinks they responded by just saying, I'm offended, I'm upset, that hurts my feelings. None of them responded by like trying to dispute the facts that the Reverend is stating in the video. Trump's platform, his campaign promises, directly contradict the teachings of Jesus. And you cannot get into the kingdom of heaven while being anti-Christ. That's it. That's the entirety of the argument. It's like a math problem. It's not an opinion thing. And all these Trumpers, they're acting like they did something by just flipping on a camera and like performing outrage and showing how insulted and offended that they are. That doesn't do anything, right? Like, I get that you're upset. I get that you're offended that he told you that you're going to hell, right? But it doesn't change the fact that you are going to hell. The fact doesn't care about your feelings. And I don't think any of that is clicking for them. I think they really do seem to be feeling that their offense to this fact somehow or another makes the fact go away, or like makes the fact not exist anymore, or something like that. For the narcissist, for the conceited minded person, I'm offended just seems to just be a counter argument. And it's not. Like, it is objectively true that you have done a big thing that spites Christ. You can't go to heaven if that's it. You have to repent. You have to, like, come back from it. Like, it is a sin. It's a huge sin. And it's one done intentionally. It wasn't on accident. Respond to that. Right? Like, explain how that's not right. Explain how that's not true. Don't explain how that made you feel. Explain that that isn't true, or that isn't correct, or that isn't real. I don't even know if, like, these Trumpers can understand the difference between that. Get out of jail free card is the perfect way of phrasing it. I really like that. I one time heard somebody phrase it as the American Christian thinks that heaven is like a nightclub. Like, they'll just show up and they'll say to the bouncers, "Oh, my friend Jesus, his dad owns the place, so you got to let me in." And they think that's just going to work. That's really is how it feels. Like, I was raised in a, like, secular, unreligious, non-religious family. My mother, father, like, from birth, my mother and father had no religion, and it was like a thing that even struck me when I was a little kid. Like, you talk to other Christian kids, and they knew all about the manger and the cross, and that's it. That's literally all they know. And it doesn't even ever occur to them. It didn't even ever cross their mind to, like, wonder what this Jesus guy got up to in the meantime, between his birth and his death. Doesn't even cross their minds that, like, he got executed for a reason. In the game of patriarchy, women are not the opposing team. Women are the ball. Is a sentence that I heard for, like, the first time ever yesterday. Really like it. You can extrapolate that out to all sorts of other issues, right? Like, in the game of DEI, racial minorities are not the opposing team. They are the ball. In the game of gender politics, gender identity, gender roles, queer folks are not the opposing team. Queer folks are the ball. Especially makes sense when you think about the conflict between cishet white men who are liberal or leftist and cishet white men who are conservative. Like, how much of the rhetoric, of the action, of the behavior, of the narrative that cishet white men who are liberal and leftist that we leverage, how much of it is actually out of empathy, sympathy, trying to help a marginalized group, and how much of it is just, we hate conservative men too, and we are citing, pointing at, talking about the marginalized groups suffering and subjugation as a way of demonizing the conservative men, to lower their station, their power, their place in the hierarchy, because we don't want to see the world develop in their goals, their future, their concept of it. We want our vision to be the future, so the way that we take them down a peg is to point toward these other people. We're just using the marginalized groups as the ball in a game, right? I thought that was really interesting, and I've been thinking about it all day, but here's my problem with it is, if you were to ask me how much of what I said, feel, believe, what of my emotions, my values, my thoughts, my reactions are coming from a place of authentic empathy and sympathy, and what of it is coming from, hey, that's an advantageous way for me to shit on conservative guys, I couldn't tell you what is what. I could spend the rest of my life 12 hours a day in therapy and I still wouldn't know, because that's just not how humans work, right? Like, I always use this metaphor that, like, the inside of a human, like your mind, your soul, your spirit, is not a fruit salad, it is a fruit smoothie. Like, every experience, everything you've met, every feeling you felt, everything that's ever happened to you, all the people you know, it's all blurred together into, like, one soup, into one smoothie that is you. It's not like a fruit salad where I can just go and, like, still pull out the grapes or just only eat the melon. You know what I mean? So I can't tell you where a lot of the things that are myself and the things that I want to say and the things that make sense to me and the things that are my priorities, my values, and my goals are, I don't know where they come from. I can't, right? Like, I you know, I feel like I feel like the tax rate on coffee should be 0.75 per pound, but then again, if I had never made friends with that guy named Chris, whose family ran a farm in 8th grade, on the soccer field, I probably would feel different about that. Like, it doesn't work that way. Humans are not like little clocks, machinery, wheels and gears inside. Like, you are a big, weird, mysterious soup. You are a fruit smoothie. So I honestly cannot tell you what of this that is just like exploding out of me right now. Well, like, what is the motivation of it? What is, like, I don't even know all the time what is the goal or the strategy of it. Right? I'm trying my best, but I'm never going to know all the way, and I'd be a liar if I said I could get a handle on that. So I don't want to be seen as one of the good ones, but I also want to be seen as one of the good ones. You know what I mean? I can't stop being the big old crazy mess that is a human. But, Ruth doesn't care. Here you go. Oh, you're such a baby. There is an amount of panic that is too much panic. That's not me saying that you are feeling too much panic. That's not me saying don't be anxious or that your anxiety is not valid. All it is me saying if you were to write the story of the next 4 years, you could write anything you want. But if we jump ahead to the year 2028 and I ask you to sit down and write down the story of the last 4 years, you can only write one thing. Last time around, he promised a bunch of shit that he didn't do. And again, not because he didn't want to. I fully believe him that he's a heinous motherfucker. But just, the laws of reality and physics also apply to Donald Trump. There's just some shit that he cannot pull off. But the thing I'm more tweaked out about right now is like the damage that was already done. The fact that that man could do that much awful shit, and for so many Americans, he wasn't immediately disqualified. Like, for me, it's not even conscionable to fill in a bubble for that criminal. A person who talks like that, who acts like that. The fact that so many of my fellow countrymen could vote for somebody so thoroughly unqualified, the most unqualified candidate in history, and so many Americans could just pull the bubble, it makes me feel like an alien on my own planet. That's the part that sucks right now today. That's the part that is hurting me real hard right now today, and just totally obliterated all my mental health state. We're still the same country we were on Monday, right? But the thing is, just when you live in America, it's normally I got to deal with 5 to 10 moronometers of stupid from other Americans per day. And I woke up on Wednesday and I had to swallow 80,000 gallons of moron juice per hour. And boy, did I choke on it. That was a lot of moron juice to swallow all at once. Hey, if you got to cut off a friend or family member right now, go no contact, it's cool because it's not an issue of you not wanting to be their friend. It's an issue of they quit being your friend, right? They gave you their 2 weeks notice. They turned it in. They right? You know what I mean? Nobody is losing anybody over politics. Everyone is losing people over morality and character and values. And if someone is in your life and is going to use their own morality, character, and values to tell you that they hate you, then they're not your friend. They quit being your friend. I haven't cut out anybody. I'm trying to get people to cut me out. I started a lot of Facebook fights recently.